What's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are back on the 1965 Lincoln. You saw us working on getting the new frame rails attached to the original chassis. Dave was just finally getting this piece in and attaching our fabricated frame rail onto the 65 chassis. We've thought about making some changes. So what we're gonna do is add some more strength to our connection point here. What we're gonna do is overlap this structural piece here onto the original frame rail. This shape here was the original frame rail, and we're gonna run this piece into this boxed area a few inches and overlap it onto this metal and create a whole bunch more strength. The design is slightly different from what we had originally started with, but we think it's the best decision for the end result, which is a completely strong and reliable piece. So we're gonna do a little bit of backtracking and make these changes. So let's get started now.
We got our first high-end piece cut and bent and cleaned up and fits exactly like this. So you can see there's circles here, give some more weld area. So what I'm gonna do next is mark this on the two frames. We need to clean up the metal really well that this is gonna get welded to. Got some tacks on it, and before we go ahead and do more welding, we wanna get the other piece made up and tacked in. Okay, so here's a little top view of both sides. Each plate just tacked in for now. So I'm gonna go ahead and start doing some final welding. I'm gonna work a little on each side, back and forth. That way we prevent warpage one way or the other due to heat. After that, we'll get our box out plates.
Now that we went through into this box, now our plate's gonna have to be modified. So it's gonna have to be cut in two, basically, to allow this to slip through our plate. So I'm gonna modify both of these on each side, and then we could put our plates back on and move forward.
Looking at our box and plate and our tie-in plate. In the original design, these box and plates were actually going to touch the edges and they were going to be welded on the insides. But now you can see that there's a gap on either side. That being the case, what we're going to do to tie our tie-in plate into our box and plates is make a couple little angle pieces on either side just to give it more points of connection. So we got our piece slips in like this. It'll have the top side welded, the bottom side welded, and two areas onto the tie brace.
All right, we're finally all tied into the stock frame. So now I'm gonna go ahead and jump on to starting to bend these brackets to go over all of our miter joints just to give it a little extra strength. So I'm gonna take these over to the volley brake and bend these little angles.
continuing on with the 65 Lincoln, the next move is to start working on getting the engine mounted. So we've got all of our frame rails situated over here. A lot of the welding is almost complete, so we are definitely strong enough to start setting our engine inside. We have this brace here that we use for getting anything squared and leveled, so I'm gonna pull this away, and then once that's away, we can do a lot of the final welding. The Godzilla has a huge oil pan that hangs down real low. We did our best to try to get everything low enough so that our engine fits under the hood. We're really close. I think we may be sticking out an inch to inch and a half, but we're really gonna find out now today if this thing is gonna be sticking out of the hood or not. I got my engine hoist, got our engine, and we have our awesome ICT Billet Godzilla brackets. We can move the engine forward and back almost 5 inches here by these bolt holes. And these are just like generic stands, which I don't think we're gonna end up using because of the unique style of mount that comes on the Crown Vic cross member. We're probably gonna have to build something off of here and out, like a separate mount structure that's a little bit different than what we have here already. I mean, potentially we could maybe just box it in at the bottom or something, but that's why we're gonna test fit this in here and start working on it so we can figure out what we need to change, what we need to create, so we can get this engine in here.
We got the motor in, she's looking good. It's looking like she's gonna be underneath the hood, which is a plus. We were kind of worried about that. We also look like we're having some nice clearance on the bottom with the oil pan. As of right now, our mission is to get this thing centered left to right inside the engine compartment. All right, so Andrew and I got the motor put in kind of where we thought was gonna work. Then we went and put the stock manifold on, and we realized we were sticking outside the hood. We were trying to keep the stock oil pan. There are a couple upgraded oil pans on the market that are low profile. They're a little pricey. We figured, heck, let's just buy us a nice oil pan. So here we got dimensions of our new pan, which is gonna give us two pretty big benefits. We're gonna be pulling our motor forward, which is gonna help in the rear section. When we put our new transmission on, we're gonna be able to take out less of our firewall, which is gonna help on the interior. And we're also going to be lowering the motor about an inch. So unfortunately, we're gonna be pulling the motor back out, taking the oil pan off, and then we could get this thing put where we want it. We don't have the new oil pan here, so we're just kind of going off these dimensions. Not the best case scenario, but if anyone could do it, Andrew could do it.
All right, so now we went through the whole process again to get the engine mounted where we want, except this time without the pan and using our new measurements from our new fabricated sheet metal pan that we're gonna be getting. Now next up is to make our engine mounts. Like I said before, we're using an ICT Billet engine mount already mounted onto here, and it came with some bracketry. I think I'm gonna be able to use these, even though it's a way different design than what it's intended for. Still be able to cut this up and I think be able to utilize these to make the mount that I want. With this unique style of mount pad, it's obviously flat right down here. We're gonna have to have the bottom with a through bolt to grab the mount bracket that we're gonna make here. It's a pretty close distance, and the mount actually is gonna be very short, but my plan is to use this and then just maybe cut the large angle, and then we'll weld a flat plate at the bottom, and the same thing on the other side. The flat face here is offset from this flat right here, probably by almost a half of an inch. With that being said, this coming straight out won't work. It's actually gonna have to jog out and then zigzag back. So it'll have two different breaks in it to get it to the position that it needs. It's a 1/4 inch piece of material, so I'm gonna perforate it, and then we'll bend it, and then we'll actually weld it back again so it's a solid piece. So I've got the depth of my bracket as well as the angle at which it's going to be resting. Since I can't bend these on our brake, it's just not large enough. What I'm going to do is plunge cut these two lines right here and right here, and that'll allow me to have just a small bit of material on either end, and I should be able to bend it to where I need to. Once I'm done with that, I can lay another bead of weld back into where I've cut, made that plunge cut, fill it back in and get all the strength back to it. Bolts in, the actual bracket is flush with the cross member right here. I got that angle real good. The back one, I bent a little bit too much angle in it, so I went ahead and flattened some of it out and pulled some of the angle out of it. I don't know if you can tell, it's almost damn near straight now, but it's still got about an offset of almost 1/8 of an inch. I'm gonna put this one back up there and see how it fits. So now this is flush with right here. I have this cinched down, tightened, so I know the actual distance here between here and here. So now I can go ahead and make my bottom plate so we can bolt it down onto the subframe mount pad. All right, got that thing back out of the car. Before I weld it, I am gonna put something here, basically like a jig, to make sure this doesn't contract further than I'll be able to bend it back out. So I cut this guy and I have a little sliver, so I have my bolt here, so I'll put my bolt through. Now I have something taking up all this space. Now it can't shrink down as I'm welding the inside corners. That's it. This guy's all ready to rock. Finished up. Just got to do a little bit of grinding, kind of smooth out some of the edges. But this one's ready to go. Now I'm going to start working on the other side. All right, engine mounts are complete. The driver's side was a lot of work. Passenger side was very easy. Got completed in about 1/4 of the time. This one is a lot simpler because of the direct line from the subframe mount to the engine mount. So we're all done with our engine mount fabrication. We still have to get our transmission tunnel cut away for our new transmission that is not here yet. So we're not gonna get started on that just now, but we are gonna get rolling on more fabrication, but on the rear end. Michael, what are we doing?
Yes, Andrew. We're gonna be taking off all that stuff out of there. All the components are coming out. We're gonna be putting some brand new stuff in. With all this torque and power that our Godzilla motor is gonna make, we're upgrading our rear end to a Ford 9-inch from Quick Performance. This was a custom made rear end for us. Andrew and I measured. I think we took it in a couple inches. We wanna have a lot of meat back there. Got a lot of meat on the wheels. We're also gonna be putting in our air shocks from RideTech Performance. And we have a custom 4-link setup coming in from BC Fab. It's not here yet, but it should be here any minute. We got a lot of work to do back there. Then we still got a lot of work to do up front. We got a whole bunch of stuff to do to our firewall, our transmission tunnel. So it's gonna be exciting. Hope you guys are having fun. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. We'll see you in the next one.